Well, hello and welcome. I'm Dave Fleeson, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while. I just started working on it a couple weeks ago. I wanted to make an app that would help people to be able to make their own comics, something to make a simple comic strip. For the past little over 6 months now, just before I started my program with Purdue University on applied generative artificial intelligence specialization, I decided to start a comic strip. And with this comic strip, I wanted to show that you can use AI in your artistic workflow so that you can tell stories and you can use AI to help you and enhance your abilities as another tool in your toolbox. But I work on this daily with multiple artificial intelligence technologies between large language models and generative AI. And let me show you what it looks like. The one I have is called Sisters of Somerville, and this is about my cat and my dog, and I play off of actual things that happen with them on a daily basis, but I also throw some things in there creatively at times that I want to do. Like today's was basically about Flashdance, where they had a Flashdance kind of competition, kind of a nod to Flashdance and also to Michael Jackson. Um, so um, I create these every day, and sometimes it's a bit more challenging than others. Um, but I do like to take a lot of their antics from real life. Like in this case, they do like to fight over the clothes, especially when there's warm clothes on the bed. They will jump in there like this, especially the cat. And there have been times when they've actually cuddled up together like that. So, I'm trying to take things that I know about from real life and use them in my comics and give it a little sass and humor. But as I'm doing this, I'm also noticing that sometimes it's challenging to get things to stay consistent. That is probably one of the hardest parts of this. And the same thing with this one here. Honey Bear, my Yorkie, she has a habit of sitting on the remote or stepping on it and changing the channels on us or turning off the TV. Or like on this one here, we have these kind of potholes out here where I live, and this is one of the postal workers that delivers our mail. So I'm taking a lot of reference photos and things to use as I'm creating this so that I can make it feel authentic. But I like to take my ideas for this and bring it to people in a way that they can use it, so that they can make theirs just as authentic and just as fun to do, but to make it easy. So one of the things I do is I make these things called character sheets. As you can see here, these are some of the major characters I've had in my comic strip. So like for example with Honey Bear and Bootsy Bell, I basically pen down what this dog's about, kind of a character arc, more or less. And then also a character sheet where I give different views, a front view, a three-quarters view, a rear view, things like that, and different expressions and things like that. Same thing for Bootsy. I do this for a bunch of my characters. So this way I can try to maintain consistency from one panel to the next and from one comic strip to the next. And there are some times that I'm going to go really out there and do some crazy things with it, and they might not look exactly like their main characters, but I want to make sure that I do have at least a standard that I have set. So let me show you, as I started to develop this, I wanted to make a AI comic engine app. And basically I got down to like a 4-step creation process. You start off with an asset studio, a place where you create the assets. So those character sheets, for example, for each of my characters, also possibly for major things that I use in the comic as far as props, like that truck that was used by the postal worker. I made a character sheet for that, more or less, and also for locations. If it's something I'm going to use a lot and I want to maintain a certain consistency. Second thing is I want to storyboard it, and this is something that we do a lot in like the animation and the video industry. So I thought it'd be really good to put it into a ComicsGen flow and kind of teach some of the things I know from art school on storyboarding in basic terms, so that any mom or pop could sit down, use this thing intuitively, and just very quickly and easily put together a comic strip. And the third one is the panel setup, where you would basically set up what kind of panel you're going to have, as far as layout. And the final one is lettering and finishing. So by keeping this separate, it's all non-destructible. So you can come back and edit things if they're not exactly right until you get it just the way you're after. So I put this one together inside of, I worked with Claude Code at first, and then I switched back to Claude because I think I prefer Claude over Claude Code for some of these projects. But it did a really good job functionally putting things together for each of those 4 things. So here's where you develop your assets, like the cat and the dog and the locations and things. And then storyboarding, where you're laying things out. Let me go back here. You also have here your different styles. So it could be classic comics, 90s cartoons, manga, watercolor, noir / black and white. Storyboarding, where we basically lay out what the story is going to be, your big concept of your script, and putting that all together. And then once you have it's storyboarded out and you've got it figured out, then you want to go into a panels layout. So you're coming into your layout mode where you're deciding which kind of layouts you're going to use. And then the lettering. Whenever you have dialogue elements, like this could be chat bubbles, it could be other text elements. When you do that with AI, it becomes a little bit difficult because the AI is parsing things back and forth, and it doesn't quite understand that text. And even though you said that it's supposed to be coming from Bootsy Bell, it might have the chat bubble's tail pointing over to mom or dad, So you want to make sure that you have a way non-destructively to just grab that tail and point it to the right person, take that chat bubble and move it to the right spot, because sometimes it doesn't understand that we read from left to right, from top to bottom. So we have to make sure that it makes sense in the way that it flows, because sometimes it's very important which thing is said before something else. So as you can see here, we basically worked that out. Now I also did this in another version. This is I worked with this one with ChatGPT. I just basically uploaded some snapshots of the first one and then said, hey, well, what do you think about this? And it gave me some different ideas on the layout. And then I took the layout ideas and took it back into Claude and worked on it there. But basically this would be my asset store where I work on the Bootsy Bell or the Honey Bear. And granted, these don't look exactly like my characters, but this is just a rough mock-up as I'm going through it. It's, like I said, a cross between a proof of concept and a prototype. Some of it works, but mainly the navigational elements at this stage. So here you storyboard, you lay things out, and as you can see, there are like little tags here inside of brackets which point back to these character sheets that we made. And that way you're able to just drag and drop those in them, is what I'm expecting this to turn into, but I'm still working on it, so that it just makes it easy. You've already got everything developed here. You can reuse it for each of your stories as you're doing things. The next one you got here is your panel studio, where you basically pick which one of the layouts you want to use. I'm still kind of working on that as far as what I want to have as my standards. And then finally the lettering, where you're actually laying it out how things are going to be finished for your layers. And additionally, what I also did is I came up with a couple of things here. Inkwells, where you would basically have maybe a starter pack of 50 inks that you'd have to start out with, maybe enough to make you able to create your own comic strip. And then if you wanted to make more, you could purchase another pack, or you could buy larger packs as well. Then the other one I have here is what I call the guidance level. So basically, you have some people that are just brand new to this and they've never done a comic. They've never worked with this kind of an app before, so they need some hand holding to help them with it a little bit. So you have more tutorial stuff on the side here to instruct them if they're an apprentice, journeyman's in between, and then somebody that already knows all this stuff and they're just like, get out of my way, let me use the tool. This would give them less, if anything, on the side here. And they can save in whatever position they prefer as they go. So so that's what it looks like. And like I said, I've been working on it for just a couple weeks now, hoping to get something as a at least a rough prototype together here soon, and I'll let you know when I've got that. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Take care.